Hello, everyone. Welcome to Thought Leadership Series, which is on Fridays. You might see me also on Tuesdays, which I am host for as well. Meaningful conversations with Beata. But today, let's focus on Thought Leadership Series with my awesome guest, Rex Witkamp. Captain Rex, it's how he goes with. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here. How are you?
I'm wonderful, and how are you?
I like to say I'm blessed, highly favored. So let's go with that.
All right.
Yeah.
Today, I have this wonderful person on my show because we're going to talk about adversity. And he, like, I don't know too many people like him who would go through adversity with smile, with strength, and embrace it. So, Rex, let's go into your story. I think let's start at the beginning with your story. Can you tell me first your story and how were you able to go through what you're gonna tell us about through embrace it? Because people usually go into victim mode when there is that much of adversity. Tell us your story and how you were able to embrace it instead of staying a victim.
Sure, absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me on today. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. So it's nice to see you and talk to you again. But I'm glad to serve your audience with some motivation and some insight. My story has been evolving for many years. I'm 45 years old, but I think that my story, and I'm a cancer survivor too. So that's basically the approach to the foundation of my story is being a cancer survivor. But it started many, many years ago when I was only at the age of 2 years old when my mom had cancer. She was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And my father was an atheist. He was didn't believe in it, didn't believe there was a God. And my story with cancer started at that age when it was my mom's diagnosis and I had nothing. I was only 2 years old. I didn't know anything. And the story goes like this. She was diagnosed and she was set to have open brain surgery, open brain surgery, and which is in the 70s. And this is not a time when the robotics and the techniques are used for that purpose. And, it was a scary thing where they had to open a patient's skull and it was not a good diagnosis, right? And not a good prognosis, which the doctors will always give you the diagnosis, but God is the one that gives you and determines the prognosis. So I want anybody that's struggling with any kind of a health issue to keep that in mind. Your current situation is not what defines you. It's your end goal. And this is how I got through a lot of it when I was diagnosed with cancer back in 2007. I've been 13 years now, cancer-free, hallelujah. But, my dad basically said to the ceiling, just shouting with his fist, didn't know how to pray, just said, Lord, if there is a God, heal my wife and I will serve you for the rest of my life. And that was it. It was a very awkward yelling at the ceiling, kind of like a Hail Mary. And when my mom went in for surgery, my dad said, I want another set of x-rays. He was told that if you were to believe in God and ask him for something like this, that it will be manifested if you believe. And so he asked and prayed and shouted. He did what he thought he knew how to do. He didn't know how to do it, but he had faith. And that's what I'm asking you to have to faith is if you're going through any kind of a diagnosis or a challenge is to start with the step one. And that's to have faith in a higher power, faith that you can get through it, faith that anything is possible because with God, all things are possible. So they took a second set of x-rays and just before the surgery, they came back and they had already taken my mom back into the operating room. And my dad was sitting out there for about 45 minutes. And within the team of doctors, they must have had hundreds of years of experience. They came back and said, Mr. Witkamp, we've never seen this before. We don't even know how to describe this. But what we were doing was thinking that we were going to operate on your wife. But we've taken a set of x-rays at your request. And now we have learned through this current x-ray this morning that there is no longer a brain tumor in your wife's head. It's completely gone. There's no reason to operate on your mom, or my mom,
Wow.
his wife at the
Yeah.
time. And that was, and he said, well, thank you very much. That's what I expected. Let's go. I'm So immediately he gave his life to God. And that was kind of my upbringing, was devoting, Sundays at church and listening to the word and having faith and religion. And, but I learned as I grew older and through that direction and motivation and very humble and honest, strong parenting, that there's a difference between religion and spirituality. Religion is man's attempt to reach God, and spirituality is God's attempt to reach man. And over the course of many years, later in life, that's what's kind of set the wheels in motion. Back in 2000, just before 2000, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and he fought that organically and holistically. Never saw an oncologist. As I developed my business working entrepreneurial spirit and found my stride in business, I was diagnosed. And so at one point we were fighting cancer together. I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2006 and, or I'm sorry, 2007. The year prior, I was in a business, and I was making a very good income. The business was very successful. And it was a time in my life when I built a business to be, the American dream. Out of the trunk of my car, I was making $300,000 a year, and cashing very large checks, $45,000 a month. I was making monthly salaries that people don't even make in a year, and I was turning that over just by hard work, by entrepreneurial drive, by being resourceful. And I started to feel some health situations that weren't normal. And eventually, on the urging of my wife, I went to go see a doctor. And then the worst came true for my own life, is that I was diagnosed. Now I was fighting cancer. My mom had already been cured. My dad was currently fighting cancer. Now it was my turn. And so already twice as a caregiver, now I'm a survivor. And once you're diagnosed with cancer, immediately you're considered a survivor, because you're diagnosed, but you're surviving. So that's an immediate shift in thinking. You don't have to be all the way done with everything to be a survivor. And that's the mentality. But I remember there was a specific point in my treatment where I went to go in for a PET scan, and the technician was, she was looking at me, and I was ready I wasn't ready to leave. I wanted to see the results of what they've scanned. And they came back, and she just had a look like she had seen a ghost. And I asked her, "Can you give me the results? So what do I have?" They don't do the diagnosis at the X-ray technologist office. They forward the results, and there's always paperwork and waiting. And she didn't know what to say. I took the paper. I said, I can read. Let me, I'll read it. I got to be my own doctor. And I started to read the notes on the document, and it said worrisome for lymphoma. And just like that, I was like, it registered to me. I said, so what? I asked her. I looked her right in the face. I asked her, so what? I have cancer? And then she couldn't answer me. She just started crying.
Wow.
And because her emotion was so heavy, I couldn't go there. I wasn't ready for that, And so I laughed it off. I said, well, that sucks. And I think it was that split second that I said to myself, I have to find some humor in this. If anything, and I'm going to go the distance, I'm going to hit the grand slam. I'm going to have to find some humor in this, and I was going to be like George Bernard Shaw, who said that the people that get on in this world don't accept the circumstances that they are for what they are. People are always blaming their circumstances. You have to, look for the circumstances that you want. And if you don't find them, you go and create them. And I was going to create. I was going to find some humor, because they tell you laughter is the best medicine. And I think it was at that moment I made an immediate decision to change my mind, to beat this thing before it even started, before it took root, and before it even set, a series of events in my life going down a wrong direction. I took a stand against it mentally. And for me, I think that made all the difference in the world. But that's basically the story in a nutshell. But it's not like this thing ever goes away. I mean, you can get over it, but you find a new challenge, and life is full of challenges. And just as early as last year, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer, and so now I'm a caregiver again for the third time, and it's like this is becoming routine, and I know how to do it, and this is building my purpose, because you do what you can with what you have from where you're at. And I began to be able to know how to speak to people regardless of their circumstances, because I'm using my life experience to be able to feed and help people, just from just the adversity that I've overcome. And those are just a handful of things. That's just cancer. There's been plenty of other losses in life, but I always say that I don't ever lose. I just, you either fail, and you want to fail. If you want to get anything done, you want to fail early and fail often. And I go look all up into something very fast, just go do it 100%. And I go and fail so that I can readjust and then overcome by getting through that failure and learning, make it worth something, and that's just kind of how I've managed to get through a lot of the adversities in my life. But as far as the specific cancer story goes, that's the majority of that.
Wow. Well, so for everyone who is just joining us or who joined us in the meantime when we were talking, I'm having today very awesome guest, Rex Witkamp, which is a multiple business owner, successful business owner, entrepreneur, author, and as well motivational speaker. All in one. Except of that, he is just wonderful human. Rex, gosh, so you were, because I've got mixed there in this information. So you survived cancer for yourself, and you were cancer supporter, caregiver 3 times. Wow, this is just amazing. So you are a champion in overcoming any adversity, I can say.
Thank you. I don't know how effective I was as a 2-year-old caregiver, but it starts to set up my story, because my mom had gone through that, and it set up a series of events and a lifestyle in my household growing up, where it furthered my growth and my draw towards the Lord and towards spirituality. And, not just the dogma. It's not how many times you go to church. It's what people believe in their heart. It's the connection that they make and the connection that you allow the Lord to make with you. But successful people admit that they're successful. And if people tune in to what is available to them as far as resources, anybody has the tools to be successful in life. And so, but that's true. Yeah, as a 2-year-old, I don't know how successful of a caregiver I was, but if you're by definition in the family when something is going through that, then naturally you're a support system. And then by default, my family, when I was going through cancer, they were my support system. But I'll tell you something, when you go through something like that, you find out who your friends are. You find out which parts of your family are supportive and not so supportive. And that's true with anything you do. It doesn't have to be a health diagnosis. It can be a business venture. It can be a bright idea or a great invention or something you want to achieve in life. And there will be people that either know you or don't know you that agree and support with you, or there will be people that know you and don't know you, and they will disagree and they'll try to anchor you down and weigh you down in that regard.
So you are a champion, so it might sound easy for people, but what about those that are going through, can be life challenges like illness, and don't have this support, don't have this family or friends that where they should go?
Well, they may not have external avenues of support immediately apparent to them in front of their face right then and there, because you got to remember, life doesn't hold any punches. Life will, if you don't move on your life will move on you. And a lot of the times that's how people fall into the victim mindset. But, Mike Tyson is famous for saying life doesn't talk about the quitters. So what you're going through, it's set up and designed to be for you, not happening to you. It's for a story. It's to further your growth. It's to further your success in life. It's challenging now, but life is hard either way. You just have to choose your hard, you know. But Rex, why? I could have sit around and said, Rex, why me? Boo hoo, right?
Right.
There's
Absolutely.
no time for boo hoos. Do you want some names and email addresses? I can give it to somebody else. No, this is my story. I have to own it. I have to laugh through it. I have to be the positive motivation. I tell you what helped me, Beata,
Okay.
was going to a cancer support group meeting and finding somebody there. I was expecting a room full of people there to support me. And that's not what happened. I found an older man who was a veteran. He was alone. He was depressed, not just down, he was depressed. I mean, he had a very poor diagnosis, and he was clearly struggling with everything. I mean, everything. And I went in there, here I am, happy-go-lucky. I used that opportunity to forget about the challenges of my past and start beginning to focus on the opportunities of my future. And that's what I think people need to do. Even if they have no resources, they need to find. I mean, I was looking at a resource. Oh, I'm going to go to cancer support. It's going to fix everything. I didn't know about that. I found out about that. I went to that. Then all of a sudden, in the course of that, doing that, I became the cancer supporter. Like, I was telling him, listen, you need to be positive. You need to get through this. And I was already a complete stranger. And so I'd say if somebody's going through adversity, and that changed me, that's my moment of change in my life, because that began an admittance, a course in my history that defines my purpose. It's my purpose to fulfill the motivations of others by allowing them to see that there is a way through it. I'm using the power of my voice to help people. And that is the most rewarding gift anybody can ever feel, is to help another human individual. And for people that think they have no resources, I would suggest that they start with a foundation of building themselves mentally, mental wealth, mental strength, mental conditioning, because whatever happens in the body, you have to control your mind so that it doesn't get worse, and you can think yourself into a better situation. And most people won't do that. It's too hard. It's too challenging. It's easier. And human beings are a creature of comfort. We're comfort creatures. We like lukewarm temperatures. We like easy scenarios. We like where we can win very easily without any work. And that's not where the growth is. The growth is when it gets challenging and when it gets hard. And so when you learn to operate on a different wavelength with your mind, seeking out adventure, seeking out failures, seeking out those endpoints, that's the limit of where you are now. But if you seek that out, you can adjust and push past that. And then you now have another benchmark that you can hit. And I did that with my health. I've done that with my wealth. I've done that with my finances. I've done that with my relationships. I've done it as a mental course of a blueprint for my way of being. But I think that another reference that people can use for an avenue for support is to be the support to somebody else. And so that in itself has a reverse effect on the human body, because it starts to feed strength. When you give somebody else strength through anything that you do and help them, that's why it's better to give than to receive. So whenever you can help somebody, despite what you're going through, look for a way where you can help somebody else, and it will immediately help you physically. It doesn't make sense, but it's true.
Well, from what I hear, for everyone who is still joining us and is with us, please let us know where are you from or how are you, and ask questions. We have Rex right there live. So from what I hear, mental toughness is very important when you go through adversity. And I think you said when you were 2 years old, maybe you were not much of caregiver, but I think you were growing into this strong mindset that I can overcome anything because my parents are teaching me that, right? now. Maybe you didn't
Yeah.
even realize that. Then you said, I love that. If you don't move on life, life will move on you. That is
Yeah.
such a powerful statement. And everyone write it down if you can. Again, if you don't move on life, life will move on you. It's not mine word, not mine words, Rex. It owns it. So it's so true, because many times from my own experience, when I was waiting because I was too scared that adversity has bigger power than it was just worse. And it also when I was focusing just on me and what I don't want, when
Mhm.
I redirect the focus and started focusing on people that I can support as well, it just was lighter. It did not get so hard anymore.
Yeah, it lightens your load. When you can
Absolutely.
help others, it makes your call. You forget about when I was helping this gentleman in a cancer support group meeting, I was telling him, "Hey, man, think positive. You know, the power, what you think you can attract, and what you can attract, you can create, and you can create health. Just think about it. And what about all the things you're going to do? Don't think that you're not going to do it. You still have time." And and this man totally changed. But I didn't hurt one bit when that was happening to me. I had
Mm.
issues. I had health problems. I was facing some severe illness and challenges. I was losing my hair. I lost my hair. I was bald. I'm going in there talking about you can do it. So you definitely can help yourself by helping other people. And if you haven't experienced that, I suggest go try it and see what happens.
Absolutely. And you said one more thing about opportunities, and I hear that statement also in other of your when I was listening to your other
Mhm.
interview. You said opportunity always involves difficulty. Is that true?
Absolutely. It's so
Yeah.
true. It's the theory of the world. It's 6,000 years of recorded history, and it's always been the same. Opportunity is always mixed with difficulty. Look, you can't have sunshine without nighttime, right? You can't win without knowing defeat. There's thousands of years. It's always been the same. The challenge for us is to take opportunities and take advantage of those opportunities, like your sunshine, your springtime, your winning, all of those things. You need to take advantage because there's cycles to life, and sometimes you're up and it's great and it's going well, and sometimes you're down. Things are happening, but the two things you have to understand is there's a difference between eyesight and mindsight. Eyesight is what you see, all the situations and circumstances. Remember, there's no circumstances in life, only your perception of what it is. Have you ever seen Pirates of the Caribbean and Captain
Yeah.
Jack Sparrow? He says, the problem is not the problem. It's your attitude about the problem. That's the problem. And so what are you going to do when you're in the corner and you're in the fight for your life and the bell rings and you go to your corner? We got a decision to make. Are you going to be the half of the population that goes away and nobody ever talks about? No, this is your moment. That's your time for greatness. That's when you need to grow and stretch and serve and get better and write a book and blah, blah, blah. Anything else that you want to accomplish in your life. You can apply this principle to health, to wealth, to relationships, to any sort of areas of your life. Mental conditioning and strength is paramount. It's necessary because like you said what I said. It probably came from, I don't know if I said that first. If you don't move on your life will move on you. If you don't stand for what you want, what you don't want is going to fill the void. It's going to fill the gap.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Rex. So we covered part of your story, which is amazing and very inspiring for everyone who is going through adversity, any kind of adversity, especially
Yeah.
now when so many people are losing jobs, health
Yeah.
as well. So we encourage everyone to start working on your mental wealth. But I want to go to different part of your story, which we don't know much about. You call yourself Captain Rex for a reason. So you are captain, the captain who goes on the ship, on the boat. Yes, tell us about that.
Right. Right. I have many passions in life, and public speaking is one of them, and it's fulfilling my purpose. But I've grown up around the water. I'm a scuba dive instructor. I teach people how to scuba dive. I'm also an avid fisherman, and I love to fish. I loved fishing so much that I went and bought a boat. And then if that wasn't good enough, I went and bought another boat, and I had a 2-boat fishing operation before I moved here to the Florida Keys. And when that was going well, we made the move. I decided it was time to do that a little bit more, and so there's levels of licenses that you can hold with the United States Coast Guard. Currently I'm a captain as a 100-ton licensed captain with the United States Coast Guard, and that just allows me to increase the size of the vessel that I'm on to take out for fishing charters. So as a charter captain, I would have the opportunity to meet a lot of people, and it was actually during one of my fishing charters where I was telling my cancer story. Because it was too rough offshore. My clients, they couldn't handle it. And that was the first time my guests looked at me, and I was just driving up and down the river, and they said, wow, you should be a motivational speaker. And that was the first time I heard that. And my clients that were there to go fishing with me kind of said those words to me for the first time. But the captain comes from being a licensed captain with the Coast Guard to be able to run vessels of certain types.
So my question is now, what was your most meaningful lesson from the boat when you were on the boat as a captain, fishing, or whatever job you were doing there? I don't really know what captain do. So tell me, what was the most meaningful lesson from the ocean, from the boat, being there?
Most meaningful lesson. I think that there are many lessons that you can learn being a boat captain. One of which is, on the specific part of just being a captain is trust your skills, because whatever can go wrong will go wrong at some point, usually. And that can be a frightful thing when you're on the water. Trust your crew. Train your crew is another one. You don't want to have somebody on board helping you that doesn't know your vessel and how to run or to do certain functions of the boat, which is really important. Proper planning and prior planning to be prepared. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance, is what they say. So yeah, be prepared for anything, and then have fun with it is another lesson. You can have the best boat, the best crew, the best captain, how to drive the boat, but if you're not fun to be around, nobody wants to come back and fish with you. So you have to learn how to communicate is another thing, and that's something that chartering taught me as well. How to work with different types of people, because they're not all nice people. They're not all throwing you hundreds and hundreds of dollars. They're not all the perfect type of client. There, you have challenges there, and there's challenges everywhere. So,
well, from what you are saying, you just have to have leadership skills when you are on that boat. Wow, amazing. Last chance for our viewers to ask the questions. If you have any question, please ask now. I have my sister with us, which is saying hello. I have she's also saying, it's in Polish, so you cannot read this, but it's hi.
Oh, yes, I can.
You can, that's right.
No, I can't.
She is saying hi to you. And we have Eric, we have Wes with us. Please, guys, ask question if you have one. And I don't know what was the reason to not ask the question. This guy is here. He can share his wisdom.
How about this? How about this, Beata? Why don't I ask a question of your group if they don't want to respond? So let me ask Martha. Okay. I don't know who else is there, but I want to know. I want them to put a 1 in the chat box if they've ever had a point in their life where it changed their life. It was a life-changing event.
Okay,
something
guys.
that totally changed their life. And let's
do
see what
it
happens.
now. My sister said Jesus because she doesn't know how to respond to that question in English. So
right.
yeah, come on, guys.
Well, no, it's kind of a trick question, because even though they may or may not be responding through their internet or whatever, it's true. Everyone has faced a certain moment in their life, and it's just because we're all living the experience of this thing called life. Nobody escapes. There's
Absolutely.
some good in the worst of us and some bad in the best of us. So nobody escapes the life experience, and you cannot get out alive. They haven't figured out how to get out of life alive. That's why time is so important. And purpose, developing your purpose, is more important now more than ever, because we have a mission to accomplish on this earth. Every one of us has a talent. Every one of us loves to do something. And the people that are going to a job for 40 years to work on somebody else's dream, if it's not their passion, they're upset with their life. They don't even realize it. And so the main challenge now, especially during Corona and who knows whatever's next, nobody can predict, but 2020 has been an incredible year, but it can be incredibly good or incredibly bad, depending on how you think. Most people will say this is a bad time, but there's people that are doing great right now. You know why? Because there are people that make signs have increased their business because they've had to all of a sudden make new signs: social distance, 6 feet, wear your mask. People have found a way to triumph in adversity, and it's not just because of Corona. It's everything. How you do one thing, how somebody does one thing, is how they do everything. And those are the people that have the mindset to take opportunities, take advantages of the springtime, their daytime, they're winning. It's the cycle of recorded history. If it's not Corona, it's going to be something else.
Rex, so you are saying it depends how you look at the things, the things and situations gonna mean to you, what the meaning. You are basically giving the meaning to the situations. So how do you, from your own experience, take care on a daily basis about your mindset?
I have a regimen, a plan. I wake up in the morning. I have a devotional that I read. I read my Bible. I pray. I also read positive motivational readings. I listen to music. I practice delivering messages to myself on Zoom, and I lift myself up. I'll make a recording on Zoom and download the audio and put it to my phone and listen to myself, just to be able to hear yourself speak. When people speak with the power of their voice, it releases a special kind of energy that brings you closer to your destiny. And this is a very global, universal philosophy for people to understand the power of your voice, because you can talk yourself out of something, but you can also talk yourself into something. So I've trained myself to be very careful about the words that I speak. Because if you say, man, I can't do this, I don't say that. I say, this is challenging. There's a big difference. If I say I can't, whether you can or whether you can't, you're right. Henry Ford, right? I do a lot of reading. I read a lot. I read a lot. And that's one thing I recommend. My brother, I talked to my brother that, man, I read this book, I read that book, and I throw out a quote and throw out. He's like, who are you? I said, this is just how I talk now. I read so much. And the reason I read here in the United States, Beata, only 1% of the US population has a library card. 1%. Wow. Most people, when they graduate high school and they're adults, they may read one book a year. If you read a book a month, which is 12 in a year, and in 5 years, you will be the top subject matter expert, and people can demand payment for that, and they'll be the top 3% in the world on that subject. That's only 60 books. So anybody that's struggling with achievement, struggling with adversity, struggling with breaking through to the next level in their career or in their life, get a book on that topic, and get as many books on that topic and read them. Because if I said to your group, would you be willing to read 60 books in order to make $1 million? Everybody would say, yeah, 60 books. I can read 60 books for $1 million. But people don't look at it that way. They look at a book and they say, right, How many pages is this?
That's so true. That's so true.
But if
I
you
hear
read,
it.
yeah, if you read,
Go
you will
ahead.
you will absorb the knowledge, and you will be paid for that knowledge, because 99% of the other people are not doing that. So you're the 1% of the people that has that knowledge. And people don't get paid by the hour for what they do. They think they do, but they don't. They get paid for the value that they bring to that hour, to the
Mm.
marketplace. And that's important for
So
people to
what
understand.
are you reading right now?
I have a couple of books that I am reading. I just ordered two more. This is currently one that I'm reading now, and this is just kind of like, I have different types of books, and
Right.
so I may be reading 3 or 4 books at
At
a
the same
time.
time.
Yeah. So this is just a different type of book. It's called The
Great
Book of
thought.
Great Thoughts and Funny Sayings. I just picked this one
Oh,
up at my mom's house recently, and it's just, there's different quotes and sayings with all different kind of alphabetical topics, just like something to have for, there's like reference books. Um, I journal. I also journal and write down my
yes.
thoughts. We have, psychology has proven that the average adult has 40 to 50,000 thoughts in a day. And
Right.
And believe it or not, the average adult has 3 to 5 thoughts in a year that could be $1 million ideas. Have you ever thought about something? Oh man, I'm going to invent this thing. And then you just kind of let it go. And then a couple months later, you see it in the store and you're like, I
Right.
was going to invent that.
Yeah. Many times.
You didn't do that. And now that's why
Right.
that person is a millionaire and you're not. But so
Right.
that's why I say act on your dreams, act on your life, be conscious, have an awareness of the thoughts that you have in your head. And in order to do that, you have to escape the noise of life, the drum beats, the cell phones, the Netflix, the cable, the news. I don't watch news because that affects the spirit of my day. So there's tricks that I have to build my mindset. One of them is reading the devotional. I do that every morning. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and these things shall be added unto you. It's proven. So I have a deep-rooted faith because it's gotten me through many of my challenges, and that's not going to change. And when you stand on a firm foundation, there's no limit to success of what you can achieve in life. And that's not my rule. That's just a rule that I follow. Because it always works.
That is so true. So from what you are saying, taking care of your mindset, it doesn't really take much.
Right.
You have to first thing, you have to think about your thoughts. What is coming in, because it's staying there. It's really staying there. And the best way, and I love that you said journaling, because the best way to see your stories, and maybe you can find ideas, is putting them down. Put your thoughts down. Journaling is nothing else, just writing your thoughts down. That is amazing. All right. Thank you so much for being here with me. Before we will say goodbye to you, I want to ask you, what is the best way to connect with you? Except that I do have your website. What is the other way?
Through the website, I have all my social media links on there. I'm available on Facebook as well. I try not to get on Facebook these days.
Okay.
And there's a reason, because it's so negative. I have the business page set up. It's under my name, Rex Witkamp. You can reach out through me there. And all my other social media is there. I'm captain.rexwitkamp on Instagram. And they can also reach me and send me a message through my website, which my email is on there as well.
Absolutely. Is there any final thought, lesson that you would like to share with our audience right now?
I would have to say that if people listening to your show, anybody that can hear my voice, anybody that found this video on YouTube or wherever it is being broadcast, ask themselves, what is their purpose in life? And if they're just going to a job to work and pay bills and come home and spend money to survive, I have to tell them that's not the real you. That's not your purpose. You were not built with the seed and endowed with the seed of greatness from your creator to do only that. There is something inside of you that is begging to come out to show the rest of the value you have within yourself to give to the world, and the world deserves to have what you offer. So take a chance on yourself, take a risk, get some bumps and scrapes and bruises and learn some lessons, face those failures, but learn from them and grow through and be able to meet and overcome any of the obstacles that you can face, because you will face them.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much. Everyone who is listening to us right now or will be listening to the replay, please share, because the message that Rex is sharing is very important, especially today when we go through so much of adversity. Share and contact Rex for any help. He is really amazing. He has so many skills, so many businesses. He can basically help you with everything. So yes, do not hesitate to get in touch with him. From me, I wanna leave you with this thought, that actually quote from Celine Dion, that says, life imposes things on you that you cannot control, but you still have the choice of how you are going to live through this. So please, you have always a choice. We all go through challenging times. Adversity is around every corner, and it only depends from how we gonna respond to it, and take it with smile like Rex. He was laughing when he hears his diagnosis, like what the heck, and look at him today.
Yeah.
So please do not ever give up, and stay safe and healthy. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for having me on your show, Beata. This has been a great pleasure. Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. See you again in 2 weeks with Thought Leadership Series. I'm here on Tuesdays. Let me remind you, Meaningful Conversations with Beata is every Tuesday at noon, and I bring other wonderful change makers. Fridays are for thought leaders. So I hope you're gonna see each other soon. Thank you so much. And if you would like to get to know me more, you can also go to my website, Beata, Beata, lifecoaching.com, and you can find me on Instagram, and subscribe to my channel. This will be posted on my YouTube channel. So please support each other. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And again, it was wonderful to speaking to you. Thank you for your wisdom.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.